Peace. Welcome to Propaganda. This is the Macrophonic MC, and I'll be your host. I've written a lot of songs throughout the years that really describe me as an artist, that really bring out who I am as an MC, that speak to me. This is not one of those songs.
Still holding on to Wi-Fi like Obama to a white guy. Temper in the center of when they're filled with some white lies. But that's politics, gets colder than the walrus stick. There's so many multitasking, they multi-taxing in spite of me. But I'm Michael Vick, fighting it, standing aside and timing it. Go ahead and peak my temper, I'll meditate and then write it. Tiny fit my mode, why they suicidal for titles? I'm spinning beats for my vitals and finding the fighting vital. That's why I'm fluid like Tai Chi. They playing that why me? Call like David Blame and the blame in the Teddy B. Haunted, they telling me stop with the rock and the bow. But I'm really writing the rhythm to give them a little hope. They misguided, I'm misjudged, mistranslated like scripture. Miss the meaning I'm leading by feeding them this the truth. You either miss it to get it or watch it flay over. I spit for the higher trip.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the really big show, 63 Chambers. I'm your host, ANIKI. Nice to meet you. It's ANIKI, like Anna, my beautiful Anna. Anna Paula, mwah, love you. And then a key, like you open something, ANIKI. That's how you do it, right there. With that said, welcome again, guys. This is the second podcast of 63 Chambers. Again, I want to reiterate that this is a family-friendly show. Everybody can watch this. We're going to have artists of all different walks of life, from painting to piano to film to, actors to directors to just all over the place with this podcast. And it's great because you get to get inside the mind of those people. You get to see how they think and why they do what they do. And holy crap, do I have a guest tonight. This is one of my great friends. Dogma K Fear represents. But he's one of my great friends. And he is such a phenomenal human. I'm trying to like compress all of these thoughts and try to put like a label on this guy, but I can't do it. He's so many different things. He's a director. He's a producer. He also is a writer. He also has his own podcast. He also is just an all around kick butt dude. Like, he has done many jobs in his life, but the job that I've seen him in action, I've seen him do so well, is produce. Holy crap. I can't wait to get into these stories. This man is truly a Renaissance man, and he works his tail off. I have a crazy good work ethic, if I do say so myself. I just finished 51 hours of work and then came right here because I want to do this and see you guys and introduce this man to you, to the world. Because right now we're going out all over the world in many different forms, many different streams. Welcome, everybody. If you see this on any of your streams, any of your social medias, go to that YouTube account, that YT account, and follow that. I am a happy representative of Elevate Souls Productions, ESP for life. What up? But I just want to say, before I begin, okay, that while this is a family-friendly show, we might get into some serious content. It happens, okay? Artists are not always linear people. So sometimes the way we converse with each other, we get into things that are super deep. We get into funny stuff. We get into scary stuff, whatever. But we're not scared to talk about it. That's what I'm saying. So buckle up, because Shawn Michael is in the house waiting backstage. And you know what? Let's just go. Let's get into it. Let's bring Michael to the front. Shawn Michael, what's up?
Hey, ANIKI, how are you?
I'm good. I knew you'd do that too. I knew it. I knew it. I was like, Anna and Key. ANIKI.
Yeah, no, that's what I knew you were talking to me when you said that. ANIKI?
I was
Is that
talking
it?
to him. What?
Anik Aniki?
Aniki.
Yeah. Aniki. All right.
All good, brother. You man, you've known me forever. Come on, it's all good. Tacos PhD.
You
That's
go
good.
you have many names in
Dude,
my
I
book.
have many names. Well, because I'm wanted in 3 states, so I gotta like switch it up every now
Absolutely.
and then. So, how about we just let people know um, a little bit about you before we just really delve into stuff. What do you do for a living right now, currently?
Right now, I'm a VFX producer. We working with mainly virtual vehicle effects. So when you see actors in a vehicle of any kind, they're usually stationary in a studio, and my company makes the world move around them. My background, I've been a producer for 7 years in film. I've written a book that's been published. I have a podcast that only has 2 episodes, but it's a work in progress. When I get a life to, I'll have time to do that. I'm going to get that
That's very cool.
restarted. But and then I have a blog on my website as well. And I like to, and also have an organization called Eternal Flame Media, which the reason that I got into film was to bring um, kind of uniting and politically neutral standpoint. And so
Mm,
the concept of eternal flame media and the fact that that eternal flame is knowledge and passing it down from one person to the next without having to suffer through learning it yourselves the hard way. But
right.
it's passing the torch. So, which is actually the name of the podcast. Come to think of it.
That's right.
But so aside from that, I have had so many jobs, it's not even funny. Jeremy is not lying there, from all different industries, crazy things that I can tell you.
True.
But I have a very wide background, but film is the only thing that I've ever loved doing. And it's one of those things they always say, I know that sounds cliche, they say that when you find out what you love to do, that you'll never work a day in your life. And that is
Mm,
very true. It is always very challenging, but it's always also very rewarding, and I love every minute of it.
cool. Yeah, yeah. Like, so I guess the I guess it's the love that you have for what you do that makes you seem freaking superhuman to me sometimes because dude, I swear, I have been on set with you a bunch of times and I'm not gonna show it to you, of course, because you know what I'm saying? You can't beat me. But I'm tired, bro. I'm like, oh my gosh, dude, let this in. And you're up there like, okay, cool. Yeah, we got this. Okay, cool. Uh-huh. Yep, I need this. Okay. And just like you're just going. And I'm like, how the crap? And then I talk to you and I'm like, dude, how many hours of sleep have you had? And you're like, 2, 3, something like that. I don't know. I worked like, 20 hours yesterday, so I don't know. And you're just so nonchalant about it, bro. And I'm impressed. I'm always impressed. It's just crazy. And I do know one reason, uh, other than you loving what you do, I know one reason that you can dig deep and keep going and push through
Mm.
physical stuff. I know that
Oh
reason.
God. He had to bring it up.
Expound on what I'm talking about because I know you know.
So Aniki, did I say that right?
Yeah, perfect. Perfect. Thank you.
So Aniki conned me into doing a Go Rep Tough. Actually, if you really want to know the truth of it, it was almost 7 or 8 years ago today. It was my
Yeah.
birthday, which was yesterday,
Yep.
and we
Cool,
were
by the way.
at a place called the Fox and the Hound having lunch and or dinner and some beverages. And Jeremy's like, "Hey, have you ever heard of a Go Ruck Tough?" And I'm like, "Nope." And so he's talking to me and our mutual friend Greg, and he's kind of shows me this video of like this couple that's walking around with backpacks with holding hands with their little like 3-year-old, and just on a nice sunny day. I'm like, "Oh, I can do that." And then the next day, Greg, our friend, calls me, and he's like, "We're not doing any of that stuff that he was talking about." Everybody said, "No." I said, "I am way overweight. I am never going to be able to do that and way out of shape." And he's like, "Good, because I'm super old and my knees are bad and my knees can't stand it." And I said, I said, "Thank goodness. As long as you're not doing it, I don't have to do it." And then he threw his arms in the air and, well, verbally, I guess. and said, you know what, I'm doing it. And I'm like, are you serious right now? And we did. And then we're on our way down to the actual Go Ruck Tough, and I learned that Jeremy's never done one of these before, even though he made it seem like that.
No, I didn't.
Um, Actually, there's a whole blog post about it. If you go to SeanMichael.com, it's called The Greatest Con. It's called The Greatest Con, and it's all about that GRT experience. So
Yeah, yeah.
it was
It,
crazy though.
it's dude, that was so well written too. I was laughing so hard reading that the part about me. Oh, so okay, so to summarize this go ruck thing, right? It's in the military. Um, in the military, we ruck, which means carrying weight in a backpack. That's really it. That's it. Carrying weight in a backpack, walking a lot, but with a lot of other weight, a lot. So these go ruck challenges, they're all led by some member of SF, and I mean one of the SF branches, Green Beret or Navy SEAL or whatever, Ranger, um, and they put you through a scenario of a mission. Hey, Mary Mother Truckers, I have, um,
Thank you.
and you have to make it through basically, and they're all missions that went wrong, so there's always a change, and so long story short, we carried 800 pounds of weight from beginning to end, and it was 12 hours, right? A little bit over.
At least 12 hours.
Yeah, it was 12. Felt like
Felt
50.
like an eternity. Yeah.
uh, that's probably military people will give you all the time of your life, right? Like, dude, toughness is something that no one can really teach you. You teach yourself, and that's what Go Ruck's all about. It's a leadership program, and you get from the start to the end. You do things physically that you thought you could never, ever, ever do, and sometimes you really think that you can never do it. And you're like, I'm going to unalive right now. Why did I do this? And but we made it to the end. Shawn Michael, myself, and Greg, we made it to the end, and it was
Let
it
me
was
just
phenomenal.
let me just say, I weighed 300 pounds at the time, and or the Go Ruck challenge started on Friday night at 9 o'clock. And Wednesday evening, I put on my rucksack for the first time, and I immediately take it off, and I'm like, man, this thing is heavy. And Jeremy or I'm sorry, ANIKI and Greg, they just totally started
Yes,
laughing. I'm like, what are you laughing about? And they're like, oh, you'll see. You'll find out soon enough.
like
And then I was in it, and I couldn't walk for at least 4 days.
I have a good
And
video that may or may
ANIKI,
not.
yeah, he got video because we went back to that same place. We returned to the scene of the crime, the Fox and the Hound, and
Yeah,
I was walking back from the bathroom, which took me about 20 minutes to walk, maybe 10 feet, and he got a
yeah,
video of the whole thing. So
it was gnarly. Yeah, it was gnarly. It was, but we did it, man. And you've said it to me several times that I hated that, and I'll never do it again. But man, that taught me what I can do. Like, that taught me to never give up. Like, I can really sincerely put my mind to it and just push through anything. So
it's true.
we got that going for us, right?
I have thanked him since, but I
Yeah.
still give him crap about it because
Oh yeah, for
that's just the
sure.
nature of the beast for our relationship.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Yeah, yeah, we're friends in real life, guys. This is my dude right here. He's one of my best friends. But oh, I meant to say that if you want to ask a question for either one of us, please put that in all caps so that the producer can see it and put it up on the screen. Okay, not a big deal, but be sure and put that in all caps. Um, so I want to keep this moving. Um, could you tell me? So your company is very, very important to you. Your reasoning for what you do is such a great, touching, hardcore story. And if you would like to, I would love for you to talk about that crash. I would love for
Absolutely.
you to talk about the origin. Is that okay?
Absolutely. So,
Come on.
so I've been overweight my entire life. Growing up in school, I was always bullied and blah blah blah. I feel like everybody pretty much is to some extent, so I don't know that that's anything special anymore.
Mm.
um, but anyhow, I was also a horrible student, so I was always, slacking and getting in trouble for grades and not turning in homework and everything you can possibly imagine. And at the time, I was also closeted gay man, and so I was very depressive, or very depressed and suicidal, quite honestly. And you know, luckily, never did anything in that regard. I'm very grateful, but ultimately, it was April 15th, and I know that day because a lot of bad stuff happened on the 15th. The Titanic sank, Hitler's birthday, um, you know, tax day. It's obviously got a
There, you
pretty
you could have
significant
led
history.
with that day, bro.
Could have led with that. But anyhow, I was on my way to take our family. I lived in a small town in Ohio. We were on I was taking my our family dog to the groomer, which was like an hour away, and it was back some country roads. So on my way back, I had just dropped the dog off and was on my way back, and this was, April 15th in Ohio is pretty cold. It's like going to probably be at that time of day, like probably, like 35, 40 degrees, maybe 45 degrees if you're lucky. But it was sunny, and I'm from Ohio, so we like cold weather, as Ohioans do. Um, and ultimately, I was like, man, I think that if I take a left turn on this road, that it's a shortcut and I'll get home faster. But I had never actually been down the road. And so before I turned down the road, I decided to put my window down and get some fresh air. And as Aniki will tell you, I am the guy that will blast the heat and have the windows down when it's cold outside,
Confirmed.
and blast the air conditioning and have the windows down when it's hot outside. And I've always loved fresh air. And actually, I'm not sure if now as an adult that spawns from this accident, because it very well could have. Because I never really thought about that psychologically until just this moment, that probably is a subconscious trigger. But
Maybe,
um,
man.
but ultimately, I put my window down, cranked the heat, and then I put the window down, and then I turned, and it was a straight on. That all happened within about 30 seconds of each other, the window going down and turning and putting my seatbelt on. And then about a minute later, less than a minute later, I went over an unmarked hill, and it was a steep drop off, and my car went airborne, and it landed in a ditch. I'm sorry, it landed and spun out into a ditch. The ditch rolled the car several times, and it landed upside down. And I unbuckled my seatbelt and fell to the roof of my car at that point, and crawled out the window that I had just opened like less than 60 seconds earlier. Um, and then I was in the country, so, long driveways trying to get to somebody to call 911 because cell phones weren't a thing back then. Yeah, I'm that old. It happens. Um,
Yep.
so I'm that old. Um, but ultimately, when I left my car, um, to go get somebody to call 911, there was a flame about the size of a cigarette lighter coming from what was the bottom of my car that was facing the sky at that point. And then they got somebody to call 911, and they did. And I went back out and watched, and that small little cigarette lighter flame grew into engulfing my car in flames, the whole thing. And everything melted down, because most things in a car are plastic, to basically the roof of the car had one big heap of plastic on it. And you wouldn't believe what little bit of metal is in your seats or steering wheels. It's kind of ridiculous. But anyhow, um, so the state highway patrol gets out there, and I am scared because I'm 18. It was my car. I think I was still on my parents' insurance at that point. That's probably my biggest concern. If I figured my dad was probably going to kill me before anybody else. But anyhow, the state trooper, had me sit in his car and interviewed me, and I told him the truth about everything. And he said, "You don't know how lucky you are." He said if if your window wouldn't have been down, the way your car landed, you would have been trapped inside and burned alive. And if you hadn't had your seatbelt on, you would have definitely been ejected.
Oh.
Um, to kind of solidify that, my car landed in front of a cross on the side of the road from someone who had died there 6 months earlier.
No.
Um, and
Wow.
it was in that moment that I realized very abruptly, and like a light switch, that I had a purpose here on Earth, and that was not, you know, it, if I really was as worthless as I felt and depressed as I was and all that stuff, that surely I would have, you know, I would have died in that. Either of those two things hadn't happened less than a minute beforehand, we wouldn't be here right now, or I wouldn't be here right now for sure.
Like
Um, yeah.
at
So
the
from that
time.
moment forward, I'm no longer suicidal. Haven't had a suicidal thought
Yeah.
since. Um, thank goodness. And that's always a great thing. But um, ultimately, I knew I had a purpose. And then I actually, through the natural progression of volunteer work and things like that, I started writing a book and a concept called It's a Coexistence Coalition. The book is called the CO3, the Core Concepts of Coexistence, and it's politically and religiously neutral. It's about 50 pages long. It's not anything earth-shattering, but I used to go around to universities during diversity weeks and give speeches and presentations and things. But there was a lot of effort and very little payoff, and this was before Facebook and YouTube and really any other social media is or was in this, at this point. Um, and so then I actually got my first taste of film back in 2005 at the University of Akron. And then I listened to the naysayers who said, put your nose down, get a 9 to 5 with benefits, work your 30 years and die. And I tried that for many years. And that's how I ended up rolling through so many jobs. And at the end, I wasn't successful in any of them. And I kind of threw my arms up in the air about 8 years ago and said, I've only ever wanted to do one thing, and that's work on film. And so that's what I'm going to do. And I went all in. And it's been a bumpy ride. It hasn't been perfect by any stretch of the imagination.
Huh.
Um, has been very challenging, but it has definitely been, the right move. I wish I would have done it earlier. However, I did all of the experience that I had before from all those random jobs actually helps me be a much better producer. Actually, one of the things, I've worked in restaurants as a server for 26 years. But as a producer, it's great because I know how to talk to people in a way that most other producers don't, because they
Wow.
don't come from that type of a customer service experience. So we have, like that, it's kind of easy for people to pass judgment on servers as, like that's not a real job and, blah, blah, blah. Can't tell you
Yeah.
how many times I heard that stuff. And it's not true, because when your paycheck is right in front of you, literally your paycheck is in front of you, you figure out how to talk to people real quick.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so a lot of filmmakers are, I mean, they're awesome people, and everybody has their strengths and weaknesses. I'm not a mechanical guy or the guy that you want to fix anything. That's not what I do, unless it's a computer, maybe.
Yeah. That's what I'm about to
um
say. It's IT.
but I don't give me a hammer or screwdrivers. I don't do any of that stuff. That's not my bag. um but ultimately, so we have a lot of filmmakers who are, great filmmakers. They know how to make beautiful pictures, and they're good writers, and they have all of these talents. But then where they lack is they're being able to communicate. And so sometimes, actually, I've had a lot of jobs where I got hired to be the producer just so that I could be essentially the communicator to the client and hold their hand,
Right. Yeah.
because
I've seen
the filmmaker didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
um
Yeah. I've seen you.
but
You're
it's
magic.
yeah, well, so that's kind of where I'm at. And so I realized that I can use film now instead of traveling all over the country and scheduling presentations, because the downfall to that was you might have a full auditorium and only reach 3 people, or you might only have 3 people in the whole auditorium. But it doesn't matter, because the university is paid for it and it's part of Diversity Week, so they don't care if anybody shows up or not. It's just, it is what it is. And so I put in a lot of effort and didn't get a whole lot of reward. And then when it all came out in the wash, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought there real quick.
Oh, cool. It's cool. I was wanting
What
to
was I
like
talking about?
the you were talking about Diversity Week. They're gonna pay you anyway. And
Oh,
so
so now I can use. So now I can make using film. I can make one film, one project, make one video, one movie, publish it online, and if it goes viral, then my work is done. Um,
exactly.
I just
Yeah.
have to keep making videos until one goes viral. That's all.
Hey, just keep plugging away, man. Like we're not gonna stop. Like you and I have talked a whole lot. We have the same mindset. I do want to really quickly though. I want to read. Christina said, "No coincidences in this life. I'm so happy you are here with us." And she said that during the crash thing. There we go. Yeah, she said that during
Yeah.
the crash part. And yeah, absolutely. There's so many people in the chat right now saying, "Dude, this is con- congratulations. I'm glad you're here," and like all of that stuff. So yeah, it's I am too, man. Like we met we met in a football firm, a soccer firm, whatever. Which is ironic because one thing that really inspires this man right here is the series Ted Lasso. I know that for a fact. And this man's company has filmed and is filming, right? Are you filming right now? Are they filming right now?
Not currently. Not
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 currently,
currently,
but
but
they
they will
are
be.
and have filmed Ted Lasso. So it's like, my no coincidences again. You know what I mean? Like that's a beautiful thing, dude. And yeah, like so so the car crash inspired. It not really inspired, but I mean that was 30 seconds. You rolled your window down. 30 seconds, you put your seatbelt on. 30 seconds after that,
It was
dude.
all
And if
over.
and if literally both of those things hadn't happened, you wouldn't be with us, bro.
Yeah.
Like you, ejections are nuts. I know, and yeah. So, whew, that in itself is just like, man, that's heavy. That's heavy. But I love how firstly, I just love how you see the world on many different things. I love your mindset and your view, and to take something that was that difficult, I almost cussed. To take something that was that difficult, and turn it into just a passion, like really truly your passion, other than being a cookie dealer. You know, it's a big deal, man. That's a real deal. So do you have any auditions coming up? Oh, maybe for a female truck driver? Mm-hmm.
No, so that's actually not the department that I work in.
Yeah,
So I don't actually do any of the casting. You actually, the studio that's making the production, they actually hire my company, and so we only do the specialized scenes, but it's all of their actors. So
yeah, yeah. So
no ins for you there.
what he was explaining earlier, um, I'll try to explain it in my way. So like when you see in a film or a TV series or whatever, you see actors that are in a car talking. They have a whole scene where they're talking, and the car is driving down the road. Whatever, it's not driving down the road. It is in a studio. The car itself is in a studio, and this guy is behind the projection and the camera, and they are they are filming with projections of the road behind the vehicle, in front of the vehicle, on top of the vehicle, so that the reflections look exact. And it's mind boggling to see. It's so cool. The first time I saw it, I was just like, like I feel like a little kid. Like this is so cool. It was awesome.
Sometimes it steals the magic from Hollywood, you know.
Yeah, but dude, that place was like magic though. Like I was like, this is so. And then meeting cool people, seeing cool things happen, seeing talent do their thing on set is just so cool, man. So cool. Seeing all the moving parts is really crazy. How many people can move so rapidly together, like in sync with their own little sections, and then in sync together, and it's like, dude, that's nuts right there. That is
That's what
nuts.
I've always loved about film is that all these artists come together to create
Mhm.
something bigger than any one of them could create on their own. And that's really the beauty of film. And that's why I'm such a fan.
Yeah, yeah, that's cool, man. That's super cool. Oh my gosh. Um, so speaking of Ted Lasso, man, it pinged whenever I said that. I was like, oh, I need to ask you about something because I read something recently, and will you talk about it? Will you read it? Like, I want them to know because, dude, you know how you talk about, no religious affiliation or no political or no whatever, but the subject matter in that letter, dude, like it I got goosebumps literally reading that, like literally on my arm goosebumps, and I was like, finally, this needs to get out everywhere. You guys, everybody, everywhere that's watching this, in whatever country you're in, whatever uh, social media thing you're in right now, you need to read this, please. Aniki 63, I'm asking you, please read this, okay? So I know I built it up like that, but do you have it to read? I see
I'm
a
pulling it up
reflection of
right now.
glasses. Yeah. Okay,
I'm
he's gonna.
pulling it up right now.
Yay! Thank you, thank
So,
you, thank you. Because
um,
you're a phenomenal writer, man. You're phenomenal in so many different ways. Like you do
oh,
so many
stop.
things so freaking well. I'm serious, man. I'm not blowing smoke. You know what I mean? I'm not doing it. All right, calm yourself. But seriously, man, you're so talented, and I'm happy to be able to have something. This platform is amazing. Elevate Souls Productions, dude, are they're growing so fast that it's like it's every single day when I go into Discord, I'm like, who are all these people? What the crap? Like it's
It's
going
beautiful.
nuts. It's going nuts, man. We have great agents and just the company itself, man. The mindset behind this company, the reasoning for the why they exist, what they're doing, how they're gonna change the world, how they're actually gonna help people. I mean, it's charity based, bro. Like this is a real deal help the world organization, and that's why I'm down like four flats. You know what I'm saying?
All about the light bearing. Yes,
It's
absolutely.
all about the light bearing. That's next. That's,
All
that's what
right.
I do next, actually. All right, you got it.
Yep. So the quote is on. This is just this is from my blog. It's on eternalflamemedia.com. You can. It's free. You don't have to sign in anything. It's right there for you. It's called "In the Face of." It's important um, to know that this post isn't in its accompanying graphics are not intended to be political. Um, and also, please note that I do love Kool-Aid. I drink it very rarely, but when I do, it takes me right back to the best times of my childhood. I use Kool-Aid as a reference because it is such a universally recognized product. Mainly because I don't want to get sued by Kool-Aid. They've got a lot of money,
Yeah,
but
and I still want to
but
get
it's very, but it's very true. I do love Kool-Aid, but man, it's a lot of sugar, and I can't handle it anymore. Um, all right, so it's called "In the Face of," and there's a graphic that's with it, and it's a little repetitive, but bear with me. In the face of adversity, in the face of negativity, in the face of hate, in the face of divisiveness, in the face of, oops, sorry, turmoil. There we go. In the face of turmoil, in the face of uncertainty, in the face of crisis, in the face of harm, we must believe in hope. We must believe in positivity. We must believe in love. We must believe in the common good. We must believe in our strength. We must believe in ourselves. We must believe in our power. We must believe in our resolve. We must believe in humanity. We must believe and believe. In the void of darkness, be the brightest light. And
yes,
there's references to Ted Lasso. There's a believe logo up there with the team motto, Gradarius Firmus Victoria, which means essentially translates from Latin to be um, small steps to victory, which is exactly how we have to treat what we're living through right now. We can't really do any massive overhaul of anything. It's one small step at a time, one small positive change. So the accompanying article I'm going to read to you now, and just bear with me. Um, I recently started rewatching Ted Lasso again. I love Ted Lasso because it teaches moral lessons while entertaining. After reflecting on the show and the current state of things, I was inspired to write this post. For the past decade, I've been feeling like the world we are living in is sick. I know many others feel the same way. Many blame politics, religion, or nationalism, but I'm not here to place blame because it doesn't matter. Pointing fingers is just creating more angst and more divide. Across the United States and across the globe, we are being pitted against each other. Various sources, including media, politicians, religious leaders, corporations, and many others, have done nothing but point fingers and lead us to believe that some specific segment of society is to blame for the problems we are facing. Divisiveness is a manipulation tactic. It is a form of control and truly a form of mental abuse that is being carried out on a societal scale. There is a lot of money to be made from this manipulation. Billions of advertising dollars are made as we are glued to the news outlets. To be clear, political affiliation doesn't matter. In America, whether you are watching a far left or a far right news station, you are both drinking the Kool-Aid, be it red or blue. Then there
Right.
are those that mix the two, thinking that they are better off. Purple Kool-Aid is still Kool-Aid. Who didn't mix flavors when they were a kid, right? We all know what that is. It's the sugar that they're selling. It's the sugar that we're addicted to. What happens when people have too much sugar? Generally speaking, it ramps us up, and it, if not controlled, leads us into a manic state. I'm not singling out the media, donations to religious institutions and politicians, sales of products or subscription services, etc. Billions and billions of dollars of money being exchanged because we are so scared of each other that we will spend everything to protect ourselves at any cost. That cost is not just monetary, it is costing us our family, our friends, our mental health, and most tragically, it is costing lives. So, how do we fix it? We drink water to flush the sugar out of our system. Not flavored water, not sparkling water, but pure, clear, flat water. No one has ever been to the hospital and given sparkling water by default. It isn't a quick process, but it is a necessary one. Slowly, we can filter it out. And that's not to say that it has to be eliminated completely, but it needs to be kept in check. We filter out the divisiveness by focusing on our commonalities. What unites us far exceeds what divides us. The next time you are in a busy place, stop for a moment and look around. Each person you see is living a life in their own reality of the world. Each person has known heartache and joy, love and loss, and has faced challenges that only they could understand. Just as no one could possibly ever completely understand what you have been through, we cannot understand what they have been through. To apply any blanket of thought or judgment on someone else is absolutely absurd, let alone a whole segment of the population. For an example from my own life, I recently encountered a threat to my life, and some say I should have dismissed it, that I was making too big of a deal of it. They didn't mean it. They were just having a mental health crisis. But what they didn't see that I did was the murder of a 24-year-old, I'm sorry, the murder of a 24-year-old girl and her coworker right outside my apartment 2 years prior. The shooter was her jealous ex-boyfriend. What they didn't know, that I did, was that a local businessman was murdered by his wife who was having a mental health crisis. For someone else to invalidate my thoughts and feelings based on their experiences is horribly wrong. But that is what drinking the Kool-Aid is all about. The core of the problem is that different does not equal wrong. Different does not equal bad. We should celebrate our differences. That doesn't mean that you believe the same thing or even that you agree with them. It just means that you understand that they have lived a completely different life than you. Even a child lives a completely different life than its parents. I am a film producer by trade. I handle logistics, contracts, money, communications, etc. And I'm great with technology. My coworker is a legendary key grip in the film industry for 40 years. Technology is not his strong point, but rigging is not mine. I don't know the first thing about what he does, except what he does, that he does it incredibly well and very efficiently. I tell him what the overarching issue is, if he hasn't already noticed it, which he always does, and he works his magic. One of my best friends is also a seamstress in the film community, and again, not a huge technology fan. I couldn't sew a button on a garment to save my life. We all have our strong points, and that's beautiful. If I conform to them, we would lose my skill set, and if they conform to me, they would lose theirs. So it's important that we celebrate those differences. We all have our weaknesses. Instead of judging on others' weaknesses, we need to accept them and, dare I say it, help them. Every day we are judged by countless people, and we judge countless people. I am just as guilty as anyone else on this. I wear no halo. Though, though imagine if those countless people helped us overcome our weaknesses and we helped them overcome theirs. Now we have a whole community, potentially world, helping each other to become the best version of themselves. They say it takes a village. Be the village.
Be the village. Sorry, I got excited on that. I apologize.
We all need to do better. That is what we are all yearning for. Group A has to accept Group B, and just as importantly, Group B has to accept Group A. All of those entities forcing the Kool-Aid on us can and still will still flourish, but we can learn to put the human back in humanity. We can do this. We just have to start. Will it ever be perfect? No, but what is? It will, however, be a vast improvement over the state of our society. Gregarious Firmus Victoria, the motto from Ted Lasso's AFC Richmond team, translates from Latin to taking little steps towards victory. That is precisely what we need to do. Ted Lasso was released in 2020 amid the COVID pandemic. In many ways, it's how I survived the pandemic. The isolation, fear, and uncertainty. It can help us survive this too. The world will always have the Rupert characters, but it will. But if we lead our lives with hope, with positivity, with peace, with love, as long as we believe, we can globally become the greatest civilization, the best version of ourselves. That is how we all truly become great again. Thank you, Jason Sudeikis. Thank you, Apple TV Plus. Thank you, Ted Lasso. Thank you for giving us something to believe in ourselves.
Yes, yes. Okay, okay. So Christina Owichi says, Sean, you are such a beautiful soul. So honored to hold space with you tonight. There it
Thank
is.
you.
And so, guys, I that had to resonate in one part or another or all of it with what you're going through in your life. Because I know it hit me so hard when I read that, and I was like, dude, you're talented. You know what I'm saying? I don't like how much more talented you are than me in some parts. Okay,
Hey, talent loves company. That's all that. That's all that is.
I'm just messing with you. No, I fully support always, man. I try to always fully support. Yeah. So yo, if that hits you guys like it hit me, put some hearts in the chat. Like let Shawn Michael know that he's on the right path. Like that. Don't that's a whole new meaning to don't drink the Kool Aid. You know what I mean? Like that's not a whole new meaning, but the spin is perfect, bro. It's so poignant for now, for this time. Like, come on, man. Everybody needs to hear that specifically right now, and it's just perfect, man. I just love it. It was great. Um, so you were saying you just jumped. You finally said, you know what? I'm going for it. I'm gonna get it. I've always wanted to do film. I know that this is my destiny. This is what I'm supposed to do, and you just wow, just went for it, right? Let's see. Aniki, you are so talented and honorable. Thank you so much. That's awesome. Look at hearts in chat. You see, man, that's what I'm talking about, bro. Um, so how about we talk a little bit about we'll kind of change gears here. That's all right. How about we talk a little bit about grounding? I don't know how
Mm.
many. So Elevated Souls Productions have a massive. Look at all the hearts, dude. That's a beautiful thing. Have a massive amount of creators and agents, and it's growing. It seems like it's growing by the freaking hour. I swear it. But um, they have a lot of channels dedicated specifically to things of that nature, sort of. You know what I mean? Sort of that nature. Uh, my podcast on Elevate Souls Productions is vastly different from a lot of them. I make it do what it do. You know what I'm saying? I just make it do what it do. But I do know quite a bit of random things, shall we say? So, do you mind talking about that as well? You cool with that or no?
Speaking about what again
Grounding,
specifically? Go
being
grounding. Yeah.
grounded.
Um, so this was an interesting scenario that Aniki and I kind of went through together. So um, basically, he had a grounding experience on New Year's Eve
Almost a year.
last year. Yeah,
Yeah.
almost a year, coming up on a year. Um, and he can tell you more
Uh,
specifically about his experience with that. But later, I have been working in film for 7 years, and I had found the company that I was independent before. The company that I worked for, I found at an open house last November, about 2 weeks ago last year. Um, and ultimately, I knew that I wanted to work there, but I needed to try to manifest that position because there wasn't a job that existed. Um, and Aniki taught me all about the grounding process, and we did a grounding session, and it was life changing. You actually feel the, the vibrations and the energy, and you start to. I know that you can see you start to see different things, not hallucinations, but like you literally can. It feels like you can see the vibration in the trees
Mm,
because you're clear and you're not thinking about the million things that you have going on in your day to day life. You're very present, and you're channeling that energy.
yeah.
Um,
I can
and
feel the
it was a
chat going.
natural fit. Yeah, it was a natural fit because at the end of the day, I've always been someone who's very in tune to energy. I can sense negative energy as well as good energy really easily, and as Anaki can vouch, I might go overboard at some points, but like there are some places that I'm like, nope, not ever going back. There is something in there that
Yeah.
doesn't like me. I don't know what it is, but it's not. I'm not never going back. Um, and that's just kind of it's that intuition. And I'm not like a clairvoyant. I'm not saying anything like that. I just the thing for me, my grandmother on my dad's side was the first to pass away of my grandparents, and it was 3 months later, and I was at my parents' brand new house, and my dad is OCD, which is where I get it from, and literally jumped up and down on every little piece of this wood floor hallway to make sure there were no creaks or squeaks, because he was never going to be paying good money for a brand new house and have to worry about that. And
Wow.
ultimately, this was like 3 months after we had moved in, and my mom was in the kitchen. I was sitting at the bar in the kitchen working on my computer, and we heard a creak in the floor. And I looked down the hallway, and the dog starts barking at the wall, and I immediately broke down in tears. And my mom was like, "What's wrong?" And I'm like, "I miss grandma." And she was, I'm not trying to sound callous about this, she was the furthest thing from my mind up to that point. I was working on work stuff, and it just hit me. And it's like then I was like, now I'm like, I felt her presence there. And now it's one of these things that I'm wildly in tune to. And it's not anything, like I said, I can't communicate with them. Like I can't tell you what they're saying. I just know
Mhm.
I just know the feeling. That's all.
Cool, dude. You if I mean I'm sure you have, but if you haven't subscribed to Elevate Souls Productions YouTube, do it. They have just check out literally Russian roulette that thing. Just spin it and click on any of them, any of the podcasts. You're gonna be like, oh, that's what he's talking about, dude. Amazing. They're amazing. We have
I
so
love
many
that.
things.
I love that Elevate Souls production exists because we need to have armies of good people out there.
Absolutely correct. So okay, so we grounded.
Yes.
You got you.
Oh, we ground. Sorry, I
Correct.
veered off there. Yeah. So we grounded,
Yeah.
and then some other things fell into place, and then like a week later, I had the job that I wanted. And it wasn't. I mean, it didn't start out right out of the gates like that. There were some twists and turns that I had to navigate to make that happen. But it all unfolded in a way that was very seamless, and really, it's about being that source of positivity in the world, and bringing that positivity to others. And it really channeled, like I said, it kind of really equates to the story that I told you about the car accident. I knew I
Mhm.
had a purpose. I didn't know exactly what it was, and light bearers can sometimes have a negative connotation depending on like Christianity and things like that refer to light bearer as being the devil, but that's not true at all. It's actually a very big misconception and misnomer.
Opposite.
It's the bearer of light is literally it's a good thing. It's not Satan, which
Yeah.
but ultimately being a light bearer is I know as we've talked about it at one point, Aniki, when we did it, we've grounded together several times now.
Mhm.
And one point when he did it, he's like, I don't know about the term light bearer. He's like, I feel like it's too like it's too forceful, like I have to do it. And I said,
Mm.
you do, because that's what you're here for. You're a light bearer. You have to bring the light, and it is a responsibility. It's not something that you can just cower
Yeah.
down and put your nose down and do your 9 to 5 job or whatever it is. It is a responsibility, and it's our responsibility, and it's honestly it's a beautiful thing, and it's something that I'm actually very I think is a gift that we are light bearers.
Yes, absolutely. I that's exactly how I feel about it. Because like you never know by smiling at a random stranger, by complimenting someone's outfit, or you know, just when you see somebody, like you were saying, man, everybody's going through their own thing, living in their own world. You have no clue what they're going through, and just a simple hey could change somebody's entire life. They could be having thoughts and be spun up in themselves so deeply that they can't find their way out of that, and they're just like, ready to implode and thinking, this is the end. And you're like, hey, and they're like, what? Why do you say hey? Like, am I cool? You know, am I worthy of somebody saying hey to me? I thought I was, whatever. You know what I'm saying? You can literally change somebody's life. And with the work that I do, that's my biggest drive. It's my biggest drive. I see a lot of the geriatric population in my job, a lot, and loneliness doesn't even begin to describe. Doesn't even begin to describe what a lot of geriatric population goes through, because they get to a point of, they go to a skilled nursing facility and they're taking care of other staff, and some have family, some don't at all, some have no one, and they literally stay in that room, and the only person they talk to is the person coming in to give them food or change them or whatever, and that's, I can't imagine, really. That's solitary. But little things like that, like say hi, touch somebody on the shoulder, what's up, how you doing, whatever. Don't be awkward about the stuff, of course, but what I'm saying is just a little tiny bit of kindness can genuinely change someone's life for the better forever. It really can. Just that little nudge might be the only thing they need to go, yeah, I can do it. I'm gonna do it. I can make this happen, and just
I have an
twist
example
somebody.
of this. I have an example of this I want to share with you. So this is just again, it's just putting in a little bit of effort. It doesn't have to be a huge thing. I was in one of those warehouse stores shopping,
Mm-hmm.
and there happened to be two or three deaf women that were in an aisle that I
Mm-hmm.
was trying to get down, and one of them was not deaf, so I guess two of the three were, and one of them was not. But
Mm-hmm.
she's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. We'll get out of your way." And I'm like, "No, no, it's fine. Like we're all here shopping. Like you don't apologize." But I could tell that like they felt the look on her face, on the girls' faces was, and they were grown women. I shouldn't say girls. The look on the women's faces were like they felt like embarrassed or like they were in the way or something to that effect. And
I
I
got
was
you.
like, no, and I was trying to say, you naturally, I'm like, no, it's fine, and they can't hear a word I'm saying, of course.
Mm-hmm.
So I just turned back and I went around the corner to another aisle, and I went on
Mm-hmm.
YouTube and I put how to say hello to somebody in sign language, or have a good day to somebody in sign language is what it was. Have a good day. And it wasn't that complicated. It was like three gestures, and I went back to them and I like put my finger up, so like hold on a second, and then I did it, and I wasn't exactly right. Like they did have to correct me on a little bit of it, but they got the
Okay.
gist. They knew what I was doing, and they lit up. Like
Right. That's
it
it.
was just an incredible feeling, and it was such a quick interaction. And
Yeah.
then we kept on going, and and we went our separate ways, and I didn't have any idea who they were, but it's just really seeing people sometimes, like they
Yeah.
sometimes people are really feel like a burden sometimes, and
Mm-hmm.
it's important that they know that they're not, and it's
Yeah.
really simple gestures like that. So um those are the types of things that light bearers do.
That's exactly right, and that was said perfectly, dude. Seeing people. It's not. It's not a matter of like, I see you. It's seeing people. You know, so many times, especially in this culture, we don't listen. We wait to talk. We're waiting for our turn, and that sucks, man. That's like it's an ingrained thing, and it's just little things that we can change like that. You know what I mean? Aniki, the Celtic light bearer. Let's go. Seeing the unseen. Right? Yes, exactly. Seeing the unseen. because they're not, like you said, they were. I'm sure they didn't show it a lot, but you could tell that they were uneasy. It's the small things, exactly, Sean. Yep, exactly. Little steps to achieve the bigger
Victory.
goal. Victory. Okay, little steps to achieve victory. I love that, man. That's really cool. Yeah, I still haven't seen it, but I will. I will see it. I promise. He stays on me. He's like, dude, you gotta freaking watch this show. It's crazy. It's so good. So
So I
well
have no
written.
room to talk because I don't watch television or movies really, except for
True.
those rare ones like Ted Lasso.
Yeah. This guy who is works in the film industry. I am a cinephile. I love film, and I've seen thousands and thousands. And I'll be like, dude, have you seen? Never mind. I'll stop myself every time because he goes, I don't watch anything. I'm like, dude, how can you
I'm
not
too
watch
busy
it?
working. Too
Okay,
busy
good.
working.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I,
That's a good
I worked a full work year, which is 2,080 hours. I worked that in 8.5 months, which means I
exactly.
had 3.5 months in the year left to work, and I had already worked a full work year in that amount of time because
Yes. Yep.
I'm just dedicated to the cause. What are you gonna do?
Well, we got 3 minutes left in the hour here. 2 minutes left in the hour, but I would love for you to uh, let everybody know all of your links, all of your socials, uh, anything that you want people to see of yours. Hit them with it. Go for it. It's all you.
So eternalflamemedia.com is the website. The podcast is The Eternal Flame, Passing the Torch. The podcast is available on all of them: Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, and also directly from the website directly. So you can check all those out. Again, there's only 2 episodes, but there will be more. Work got in the way, but that's fine. It'll get out of the way here again soon, so it'll all work out. Um, but ultimately, at the end of the day, check that out. Check out the blog post on Eternal Flame Media. That's where I really get into the thoughts. The greatest con, or you'll see there. We'll teach you more about the Go Ruck Tough, um, and then kind of. I really am horrible at social media, as Aniki will vouch for, and it really makes me angry to no end. But at the end of the day, as he's also seen recently. So my socials aren't really that great. I'm on LinkedIn. Please connect with me on LinkedIn professionally, and you can. It's under Sean Michael Producer is my username, and then Instagram is Eternal Flame Media, as well as Sean Michael EF. That's SeanMichaelEF. The EF for being for Eternal Flame. So those are my handles. I do have a TikTok that I just recently started, thanks to Aniki here, but I haven't really posted anything. Still trying to figure that out. I am showing my age in that regard, even though Anaki's technically older than me. Just saying,
Yeah, I was about to say,
by a
dude.
lot, by a lot. So I
Yeah,
don't really have much of an
but
excuse there either.
I'm
But
immature for my age, and I got a baby face, so you know what I'm saying. It's fine.
right.
It's fine.
And the book is called The CO3, The Core Concepts of Coexistence. It's digitally available on the Amazon marketplace. There are actually 2 versions, one that is like $4 and one that's like $3. And believe it or not, I make more money off of the one that's $3 than the one that's $4.
Well,
So get
love the cheap
yourself the
stuff,
cheaper
guys.
version of it. Again, it's a 50-page book, and I wrote it. It took me 8 hours to write, and it took me 8 months to edit. Which is pretty
Says a lot.
standard for most creative things, and Anaki can vouch for why that is the way that is.
Oh yeah,
But
definitely.
ultimately, if you're interested in it, you can always shoot an email to creative at Eternal Flame Media. I'll also be happy to share it with you, but please take it with a grain of salt. I was 31 when I wrote that book. Had some things that were naive that I thought, that now I realize were kind of ill placed and ill timed. Like I talk about the manifest destiny, which was, the determination that we were going to take over in America to make America, which obviously was, conjures up a whole bunch of different feelings from folks.
Mm.
And so I wouldn't, I didn't, I actually noted that in the book, but again, it was something that I probably wouldn't put in the book if it was going to get published this year. But please check it out and hit me up. I'm always happy to, share knowledge and try to help people feel better. And if there's anybody out there that wants to connect, help. Let's be the light. Let's be the village.
That's what I'm saying. They say it takes a village. Be the village. That was so beautiful. Thank you, Sean Michael, so much for being the first guest on my podcast. We did it.
Thank you. This is awesome.
Yeah, man, you're an amazing human, and I really appreciate it. So we'll shoot.
As are you, sir.
I'm gonna say, what's up?
I said, as are you, sir.
Oh, thank you, man.
Yeah.
We'll shoot backstage. I'm gonna say a little something to these guys real quick, and then we're gonna close this thing down. But
well, thank you very much for having me. Hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving, and stay safe out there. Let's be positive.
Stay safe, be positive. I dig it. Well, so the most important thing in this life, the only thing that we can control is right here and right now. Everything else, the past has already happened. The future, who knows? Literally, the only thing that you can control as you is right here and right now. The most important place is here, where you're at right now. And the most important time is this time. And you guys on Turkey Day, happy Thanksgiving, by the way, everybody. You guys on Thanksgiving chose to spend your time with me and Sean Michael. And I couldn't be happier. I'm hurting. I'm smiling so much. I'm hurting. I really, really, really appreciate it. Love you all. Take care of yourself. Be the village. That's awesome. We're going to shut it down. Take care, guys. See you soon. That's a beautiful thing.
Peace. Welcome to Propaganda. This is the Macrophonic MC, and I'll be your host. I've written a lot of songs throughout the years that really describe me as an artist, that really bring out who I am as an MC, that speak to me. This is not one of those songs.
Still holding on to Wi-Fi like Obama to a white guy. Temper in the center up when they're filled with some white lies. But that's politics, gets colder than the wildest stick. There's so many multitasking, they multi-taxing in spite of me. But I might go big, fighting it, standing aside and timing it. Go ahead and peek my temper, I'll meditate and then write it. Time to fit my mode. Why they suicidal for titles? I'm spinning beats for my vitals and finding the fighting final. That's why I'm fluid like Tai Chi. They playing that white me. Call like David blaming the Teddy B. Haunting me, they telling me stop with the rock and the boat. But I'm really writing the rhythm to give them a little hope. They misguided, I'm misjudged, mistranslated like scripture. Miss the meaning I'm leading by feeding them this the truth.